Allah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakahakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, that by the Spirit taught us His beautiful truth. And just want to say the water toward the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahushai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan the Waf, just coming at you with another quick lesson. Praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. A little quick and hit, back to the basics. The apostles have been going into a lot of back to the basic lessons, and I wanted to use this video right here, where you see right here to the left, with the so-called, well, he looks like a so-called white man, and she appears to be a so-called black woman, but it could be a reverse, because when it comes to this truth, we can't stress enough that this is not a skin color thing. Everybody that you see looks like this guy right here on the left is not a so-called white person. There are Israelites that look like him. And also, this so-called black woman, there are Edomites that look like her. Dark chocolate as ever. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see that with these kids. So they have, it says, which of our 7 kids, it says, which of our 7 children look like mom and which look like dad, right? So I'm going to play it. It's a short. They do got some music playing in it. I don't want to get no copyright thingy, but I'm going to play it anyway. I think we should be all right. It's on YouTube anyway. Shit, it's just a short. So let's play it and we'll grab the scriptures on it real quick. So here we go. See, if you see that little guy right there, you think he's a Jake. Now, if this is a so-called white man, that's an Edomite. And if he were to get with a woman as dark as his mom right there and have another son, have a son, which would be their grandson, that color is going to change. So he could be an Edomite, which is a so-called white man, but have dark-skinned children that are also Edomites. And you can really only tell in the spirit, but the Lord, He knows the spirit. He knows who all people are on the planet, because Esau, he got a smorgasbord of people going on out here, man. Everybody that look like a so-called white man, again, is not a so-called white man. They could be Israelites. They could actually be Moabites. They could actually be Ammonites. They could be Edomites. You see? So get the skin color thing out your mind. All that a black only Israelites, all that little bullshit like that, that'll get you destroyed, man, because you would be adding to or take away from the Holy Scriptures if you were to push that doctrine. Everybody that looks like as dark as this so-called black woman right here, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are actually so-called black. They could be an Elamite. They could be Moab. Our people look like everybody. Because the children of Israel have been scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth. All nations, there are Israelites in them that look like all nations of people, because we've been scattered, man. It's really very simple. And when you think of it, it's common sense, because the seed line goes through the dad. But again, if you see this little guy right here, and you just seen him on the street, and if his dad is really a so-called white guy, you would think he's just a Negro. But you'll be able to tell. You could tell. You could tell Esau, man. Spirits that's just out of pocket. It's just like something not right. Because they have a different spirit than us. But anyway, let's continue on with the video. So I'm assuming his name is Heezy or Hazy or whatever. So let's play some more. You'll get the rest of it. I think it's 2 boys and I think maybe 5 girls. I think it is. But anyway, let's see. Okay, so now when you see her name is Hosanna. Hosanna, right? And she, she got that Tracy Ellis Ross type of look, because see, even like Tracy Ellis Ross, that would be a so-called white woman. She's an Edomite. If her dad is actually who he's really saying he is, an Edomite. But she's gonna, of course, as time goes on, she will move in the world as a so-called black woman anyway, only because of, she has that tint, that color, that she can't get away from it. So let's go to the next kid. Okay, so this is Holly. Another one, about the same color. See? That little blend. But again, you know what I'm saying? She's going to be looked at as a so-called Negro if she's, but in the meanwhile, she's going to be an Edomite if this guy's really an Edomite. Again, let's go to the next kid. Okay, so she looks similar. She has the girls, that little boy, he looked just a tad bit darker, not too much more darker than them. But they all got that same color, that little bitty mix. So now if they were to grow up and get with a so-called, now the girls, them, when it comes straight down to it, though they are Edomites, and they would be going into slavery if they are, they could get with so-called black men, and, their children can be Israelites, you know what I'm saying, so to speak. But that so-called, the very first child you've seen, that son, if he's an Edomite, and he gets with, you know what I'm saying, another dark-skinned woman or whatever, and that color just changes to all so-called black, so to speak, those would be Edomites, which would be kind of tricky and sneaky. That's why the scriptures goes off into the wheat and the tares parable. That's another lesson. Maybe we can get it though. But let's get the next kid. See again. You can kind of see, got the little hair texture, but they all kind of got that old, they look like one of your cousins look, you know what I'm saying? You just in the hood, you would think, okay, yeah, this is just one of my cousins or one of my, her name is Hazariah. So they have somewhat of some, a couple of those names are like spiritual names. But let's get the next one. There you go again. Another one. You just think this is like, my cute little niece. You know what I'm saying? So and her name is Houston. Okay, so let's get I think this might be the last one. Let's see. I think this is a little boy, the last one. Let's see. Halo. No, that might be a little girl. Okay, but anyway, but you can clearly see this is what seed line looks like, when people, and matter of fact, this would be a perfect example of Esau and Jacob. Jacob came out, darker skin. Esau came out red. You see? So let's go into the scriptures though. Let's go off into Numbers chapter 1 to really get down on it. You know what I'm saying? To just, cause see, this is the way that we go by the scriptures, man. We fuck Esau science. There's no such thing as racial or mixed or multiracial or any of this bullshit Esau been talking about. And actually those terms are not that old. Those terms are, got real popular in the 1970s as far as being biracial. People never, said anything like that because they understood that you are exactly what your dad is. And this is the way that we go by it. We go by the scriptures. We go by what the Lord Yahweh, says. We don't go by what the so-called, because this motherfucker lie to you about everything. So I'm going to get verse 1 and I'm going to jump down to the point. Numbers chapter 1 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their poll. This is how lineage goes. So that's why we're saying if this is a so-called white man, which he could be an Israelite, he might not even be a so-called white man. I'm just using it as an example because there are Israelites that look like him, that can come from a so-called black. You got like your say for instance Patrick Mahomes. You see what his children look like these days. His son and daughter, because he's with a so-called white woman, and those children they look kind of like so-called white kids. Now, if the son, Patrick Mahomes' son, were to grow up and he were to get with another so-called white woman, those kids would look probably more than likely completely so-called white. But they would be Israelites. They would be so-called black people. See how funny that is that, and this is the real truth of the scripture. See, Esau been lying for so long, man, that people don't even understand what lineage is even, what lineage really is in this man's kingdom. But he's supposedly the smartest man on the planet with his science and shit. Anyway, So if you notice, it says it says by the house of their fathers, not the house of their mothers. It says with the number of their names, every male by their poles, not every female by their poles. This is about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. Not Abigail, Isabella, and Jessica. It's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's who the 12 sons come through. The Israelites. So if you come from one of those 12 sons, you are an Israelite. And Esau, he also has his own, tribes of people. But Esau, with those darker races, man, trying to get some color. Basically. Okay, so now let's jump to the point, though. And as you can see right here, all the tribes are named off, right? So we know that these are men. These are the tribe, verse 5, these are the tribes of the names of the leaders who will assist you. And that's in the NLT, the New Living Translation. But as you can see, you got the tribe of Reuben, Simeon, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Ephraim, so on and so forth. But let's get to the point, verse 18. And as Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18, and as they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families. What's a pedigree? Let's see if we can let's do a Google search on it. Pedigree. The record or descent of an animal showing it to be purebred. The record the second one is the record ancestry, especially upper class ancestry of a person or family. So this is basically your family, like how a family tree is. It says ancestry, descent, lineage, line of descent, genealogy, family tree, extraction. See, it says origin, heritage, parentage, paternity. That's how you get your lineage. It goes through your dad. It doesn't go through your mom, because when a dad gets married, or a man gets married to a woman, the woman normally takes on the man's name. The children take on the man's name. The name that the woman had when she came into the marriage, she gets rid of. Now you may have some, like you got these actors and actress, actors mainly, like say like Angelina Jolie Pitt. She got her last name and his last name. You'll see little shit like that here and there, but her name should just be Angelina Pitt, right? Why? Because she's taking on the name of him. The children have I'm not even sure. I think the children have his last name, or I'm not sure if it's Jolene Pitt on each one of their last names as well. Not sure about that, but it's clearly your pedigree goes by the house of your father. Verse 18 from the top again. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their poles. In the NLT, the New Living Translation, it reads, as they assembled the whole community of Israel on that very day, all the people were registered according to their ancestry by their clans and families. The men of Israel who were 20 years old or older were listed one by one. And there you have it. See, this is how pedigree goes, man. This is how ancestry goes. Because the male, he carries the seed in his nutsack, man. Let's just be honest here. Those are children already swimming within him. The woman is just like earth. The woman just give that the sperm, the nutrients, the seed, the nutrients to grow. And then once that seed comes forth, it's exactly what that man is. But again, you have Esau. Let me see. I've done it before. I'm not sure what they'll pull up. Esau, he done switched shit up, man. Let's put in when did the let me just put in maybe origins of biracial come in. Because this is not biracial. Those terms are not that old. Let's see. What do we have here? Interracial relationships, including marriage and common law marriages, have existed in America since the colonial era, before slavery became a racial caste. However, most states passed miscegenation laws in the 18th, 19th, and early 20th centuries. Okay, let me see. Despite these laws, White slave owners, slaveholders, their sons, and other powerful white men continued to have multiracial children with enslaved women. Okay, but that's not when it actually came out. See, they're saying multiracial. Because those so-called white men slept with slave women. Those were their children. Those were their seed. Even though they may have come out looking dark skinned. So you got dark skinned Edomites running around out here, man. That shit is actually scary and it's nasty too when you really think about it. Trying to see, because they used to have it. It was a lady. I think she was a professor that kind of came up with that. Let me see. This might be it. Let's see. Get a little bit on this right here. It's part one of a 3-part series. We're not gonna get all this shit, but anyway, let's see what they got to say with the first part of it. From the early 1980s to the start of this century, there existed a publicly identified multiracial movement in the United States. So we're looking at the 1980s. That's not even that long ago. That's what I was thinking. I thought it was the 1970s. Central to the movement were 30 grassroots support groups composed of interracial couples, transracially adopted families, and individuals of multiracial heritage. Early examples were Intercultural Pride of San Francisco, founded in 1978. And then you had the Chicago, founded in 1981, and the Interracial Family Circle, IFC, founded in 1983. My family and I were personally members of the Getting Interracial Families Together, in 1994. So basically, you could clearly see that these, I thought it was 1970s. I'm thinking it's, the main, I think the beginning one is 1978. The BFN, Biracial Family Network. So the term is biracial is not old. It's not that old. You know what I'm saying? It's a term that was brought up recently. So before that time, what was they calling people? You just were what your dad was. You know what I'm saying? But overall, a lot of cultures didn't really mix like that. Mixing cultures like that really wasn't very, very popular. But it has always happened. You know what I'm saying? Since the beginning of time, so to speak. Because Esau definitely married. I think his first wife was an Ishmaelite. Which would be a so-called Arab today, which, I think he married 2 Hamites. I'm not sure exactly. We'll have to go into it. Don't quote me on that right off. But you can look into the history of his wives, where he got his first wives from. But he was a man of no melanin. So he got with those 2 so-called darker-skinned women, which kind of gave his children color, so to speak. Because that's really like the mark of Cain. Not having no melanin, that's, that was like the mark of Cain, so to speak. But that's another lesson. But let's go off into the parable of the wheat and tares. Let me see if it'll pop up like this. It may not. Let me just put in wheat and tares. Now, if you're familiar with wheat and tares, I always kind of try and bring that out too. In Google, because I grew up in the South, so I remember what wheat and tares actually look like. And when I seen these scriptures, I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because wheat and tares, they do look exactly alike, but one of them is, has value, which is the wheat, and the other one doesn't have any value at all. It's just pretty much as, they bundle it up and they burn it, So let's go up into Matthew chapter 13. And this is Yahushua speaking, which is red letter, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus. And it says tares among wheat. And in this illustration, tares are pretty much like the so-called white man that look like so-called black people. That spirit of Esau. You got to really get this, man. This is very important when you come into this truth. You have to realize that there are people out here that look like us, that's not us. And again, I like, we use, actors, famous people. Tracy Ellis Ross, she, kind of dominated in the industry of a so-called black woman, but she's a so-called white woman because she took after, she got some of the features of her mother, Diana Ross. She got the hair. She had a real nice body shape back in the days. But you got like the Maury twins. They look like so-called black women, but their dad is an Edomite. If their dad really is an Edomite, then they're Edomite. They're Edomite women, along with their brother. Then you have people like Jussie Smollett, Journey Smollett. They look like us, so to speak. They play a lot of parts, as or at least the sister. She plays a lot of parts with so-called black people parts, but she will be an Edomite. You see, you got guys like Lenny Kravitz. And then there are people that's out here that just straight look like so-called white people that are actually so-called black people. And you have to look it up. All you got to do is put in, like celebrities, actors with biracial parents, so to speak. If you put it in that way, of course we know it's not biracial, but if you put it in that way, it'll you'll see a lot of celebrities that'll pop up, which you'll think like, oh shit, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they're, like I think what's her name? Amber Rose. And you can kind of tell she's a weirdo anyway. But Amber Rose, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not mistaken, she's an Edomite. Her father is a so-called black man, even though she kind of turned out with a little bit of, little body type, you know what I'm saying? But she's weird as hell, which it kind of explains it, because Esau is very weird, man. Okay, so, let's see here. Okay, so let's get this. It says tares among wheat. In the NLT, it says parable of the wheat and weeds, right? So now this is red letter. This is Yahweh Shai speaking, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus. We like to always bring out, these back to the basic lessons as well, that the Lord's name is not Jesus. His name is Yahweh Shai. There was no letter J when he walked the earth. The letter J was invented 500 years ago in 1524. Now you can look that up. We like to bring it out. That way, newcomers, you can look it up, you can Google it, and you can see that that's factual. Do your own due diligence and your own study. The letter J was invented in 1524. It was not around when the Lord walked the earth. And he wasn't a Greek. So when you go into the Greek, as far as Jesus, that's a whole nother lesson too, though. But they would say Jesus. So that's a whole nother lesson. But he wasn't a Greek. He was a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Yahweh, or they would say tribe of Judah. And the name that was given by Gabriel was Yahweh Shai, which means he is a deliverer, or he, the deliverer or savior. And the true name of the Father is Yahweh, which means that he's the Salakia. He exists, or the existing one. That's the true name of our Father that created the heavens and earth through our Lord Yahweh Shai, Mashiach. Okay, but let's get into this, right? You know what? Let me pull up wheat and tares first, though, and let me pull up a picture of wheat and tares to show you how close they look alike. And check this out, because I grew up in the South, and I remember, it didn't really dawn on me. I just, but I do remember it, the differences between wheat and tares. And they would always bundle the tares up, and they look just alike until they get to the end of harvest. You can't tell until generally they would gather it and burn it during the harvest season, because that's when you can actually tell. Okay, so, and you know what? This is kind of crazy, because I've never seen this before. This must be something new. It says, in the Bible, tares are weeds that look similar to wheat and can choke it by wrapping around its roots. Damn, that's... Ooh. Hey, I've never seen this before. This is spiritual. And I've looked this up plenty of times, too. It says, Jesus tells, well, we know his name is Yahweh Shai. Jesus tells the parable of the wheat and tares in Matthew 13:24-43, in which an enemy sows tares amongst landowners' wheat field. The servants in the parable want to pull out the tares, but are told to let both the wheat and the tares grow until the harvest, because doing so would also uproot the wheat. See? And when you really think about it too, that's why when we are on the highways and byways, you see a lot of Jake, they be mad, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean? My mom, she's a white woman, she can't make it. Or you tell them that, you know what I'm saying, if your dad is an Edomite, you're going into slavery, even though you may look as dark as Wesley Snipes. So they, that's one of the reasons why, it's kind of like said or given to the point of, let them both grow together until the Lord basically comes to destroy this place, because he's going to situate everything anyway. Yes, Salaki, one sec. Okay, Salaki, I was kind of kicking it with the neighbor real quick. But let's get right into it. Let's go into the parable real quick. Tares among wheat. It says, Matthew 13:24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in his field. Right? But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? And he said unto them, An enemy has done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? So remember, I was talking about, the brothers being out on the highways and byways. If you notice, if you've seen any videos, and there's plenty of them, where you don't see as many of them like, now. It still happens, but older videos like year back, 2 years, 3 years or so back, it used to be pretty intense at camp, because, it was kind of like so-called white people would be walking up and they'd be asking questions, so Edomites can't be saved. And then you'll have the so-called black woman. She coming out of nowhere screaming. Or the so-called black man, they're Christians and they can't believe that the Lord will only choose one people, which are the Israelites, and they, but my mama is white. That's like I even heard like J. Cole, if I'm not mistaken, came across some Israelites, if I'm not mistaken. And from what I heard, that's just me speaking as a man, from what I heard, you don't quote me on it though, but he was kind of like not with it because his mother is a so-called white woman. So he couldn't deal with the fact that only the Israelites are going to be, or the elect of Israel, I'll put it that way, can receive this salvation, of what the Christians call salvation, right? And the Edomites are going into slavery. He didn't want to hear that his mom could possibly be going into slavery. So that throws a lot of people for a loop, when it comes to this truth. They just can't believe it. Why would the Lord, he created, we all the human race, they'll say, we all one race, the human race. You hear them with that bullshit. We all bleed red. You hear them with a lot of that bullshit, man. But the scripture clearly says that the Lord chose one nation, and it's the Israelites, man. And that's you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But our people are so downtrodden, they fight hard as hell for the enemy, man. Because this scripture right here, it clearly says that the enemy, let me get verse 28 again. It says, he said unto them, an enemy has done this. These people are our enemies. When you go into Deuteronomy chapter 28, it talks about how our enemies will be the ones that will buy us and be over us and control us. And our enemy, we will be sold to our enemies and taken into slavery, or being taken into slavery and being sold to our enemies on auction blocks and being spread out and separated. And next thing you don't know if you're sleeping with your damn sister. You might be sleeping with your mom. A lot of stuff was going on, man. You might have been sleeping, because during plantation time, Esau would sell your ass off. He'll clearly have you in a cabin together, you, your wife, 2, 3 children. He'll sell the children off to separate plantations. He'll sell the mom off to a separate plantation, the dad off to a separate plantation. Next thing you know, you might meet up in the next 18 years, whatever amount of time, and you don't even know that's your son or daughter, and you sleeping with them. That's kind of wickedness that Esau done, man. Verse 29, it says, but he said, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares. So they're going to get gathered up first, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. See, it is what it is, man. And that's a parable, but there's a dark saying to that. And it's going to go on to explain it, because they have it explains the parable down here. The tares explain, verse 36, right? It says, then Yahweh sent the multitude away. So, and the Lord, he was speaking to the people in parables. And, the disciples asked him why, basically pretty much why do you speak to the people in parables? Roughly paraphrasing, why not just tell them plainly what's going on? And the Lord told him straight up, like, hey, these mysteries are for you. So for you brothers and sisters that's into this truth right now, know that you're into it because the Lord, he awakened you and he brought you into it. This truth is not for everyone. Because even amongst the tares, a lot of our people are going to be destroyed. They're going to be wheat, so to speak, because they're Israelites, but they're going to be destroyed right along with the tares. And that kind of goes off into, it talks about how the tares would pretty much choke out the wheat. It's like a weed. That's why it's being explained in the NLT over here. It says parable of the wheat and weeds explained. What do you do when you have a garden? You keep the weeds out because the weeds will, kill off your harvest. Okay, but anyway, verse 36, Matthew 13 and 36. Then Yahushua sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. So they want to know about these tares. They didn't even ask about the wheat. It says, he answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. So that's Yahushua. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. And we know that only the elect of Israel can be saved in this truth, man. You can't get around it. That's in Luke chapter 1. It's so many scriptures, man. They hate Romans chapter 9. So many scriptures, man, that goes off into telling you that the Lord chose Israel, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The promises was given to them. You can go into 2nd Esdras 6, chapter 6, I think verses 54 on down. There's plenty of scriptures on that, man, where the Lord chose only the children of Israel. Okay, so it says the field is the world, the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. Also, there's people of the wicked one, seed of the wicked one, and that goes back to Eve and the serpent. Talking about the two seeds will basically, pretty much be battling, man. And those two main seeds is Esau and Jacob, the twins that came from Isaac and Rebekah. I mean, the story is crystal clear, but a lot of people, they don't get it because they just can't fathom why would the Lord create all these people just to destroy, or just to choose one group of them. They don't see the Lord as having a right to basically having anything special to himself. Because the scripture talks about the Lord having a favorite land, a favorite cattle, which is the sheep. He has a favorite bird, which is the dove. His favorite, I think, fruit, roughly paraphrasing, is the pomegranate. His favorite land, of course, is Zion. And his favorite people are the children of Israel. So the Lord has his own favorites. It's like you have a favorite pair of shoes. You might, have a favorite color. You might, like mustard and may not like ketchup. So you as a human get to like things, but the Lord, he can't like and choose what he wants. And he actually created all these things. So, it's like going to a crafting shop. And they have these things. They're pretty popular these days. A lot of people, they go on dates. God might take a woman out on a date and they, go to these pottery places and shit like that. And I've seen videos of them making, little vases or little mud thing is flowing and they hitting the reel and it's flowing. They kind of laughing at the end as to how, fucked up it may look. But, you can go, that's your creation. You have the choice of throwing it away or you have the choice of keeping it. And the scriptures also talks about vessels for honor and vessels for dishonor. You may have expensive china that you only take out, during special events at your house. Then you might have paper plates that you just like, I don't feel like washing no dishes. I'm going to eat a paper plate, eat off one of these paper plates, use a paper cup. Then what do you do with it? You throw that shit in the trash. But you don't throw away the special china. So it is what it is. Verse 38. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked. The enemy that sows them is the devil, which that word devil goes off into deceiver. And Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he's the great deceiver. And he's the physical counterpart of Satan on this planet, man. Okay, it says the harvest is the end of the world, right? And the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of the world. So we know that to be Babylon the Great here, America. Hey, this place is going to be torched. The only ones that's going to make it out of here is the elect of Israel that's going to be beamed up into those chariots of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Now that's on this side of in this continent here, you know, because Babylon the Great is the great place of fire, man. This place, America, is the great place of fire. This is where all the nukes are going to come. Right? It says, verse 41, the Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that are offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. So there's only going to be basically the 144,000 elect, and then your 1/3 of Israel, the elect that's going to make the chariots, man. The other 2/3 of Israel, they're going to get that crispiness right along with Esau, Edom, in this continent as well. So all of Israel is not going to be saved. Scripture talks about that. So if all of Israel, which is the chosen of the Lord, if they're not going to be saved, then where does the other heathen people come in at? The Gentiles that they claim that, you know, all of a sudden can be saved, which we know the Gentiles in the spoken word of being saved are Israelites that were scattered throughout, you know, Ephesus, Corinth, Thessalonica. See, people look at and they see that word Gentile and it blows their mind. They get confused. They just think, oh, Gentiles, that means everyone. No, but you have to go off into the word Gentile because it's two separate groups of Gentiles. You have Gentiles that are, say, like the Chinese people. Those are Gentiles. Then you have, say, you got so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and they live in China, and they, you know, twirling fucking nunchucks, got on kung fu shoes and eating with chopsticks and shit, you know, speaking Chinese, shuang yoing yoing, you know. They would consider to be Gentiles because they're living after the customs of the Chinese. But they are Israelite by DNA from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, you know, I just wanted to touch on this. I didn't mean for it to go this long. But I mean, hey, these things got to be spoken on. So when you see stuff like this right here, this is a perfect example of, you know, it's not a color thing. You have to keep it in mind. This is not a color thing. Because again, if he's an Edomite, which, like I said again, there are Israelites that look just like him. It's so-called black people that look just like this guy. Straight up. But if you were to see him on the street, you would automatically think that he's an Edomite. And that's why the apostles always, you know, been going off into be careful about, because you got Israelites, man, they out here, they got people kissing their damn boots and shit on the street, these camps. Oh, you an Edomite, they never even ask them, well, what's your father or what's your grandfather, or do you know anything about your family pedigree, your family lineage? They don't even consider that they could be an Israelite. Here you go, you have an Israelite bowing down, kissing your fucking boot, and you don't even know. Like that's, you know, so stay away from that, man. Just teach the scriptures. Because the scriptures talks about, let me get that real quick. We can end out there. If their spirit resonate with these scriptures, then they could be, they're Israelites. If their spirit bear witness with the, let me see. Let me put it in. I don't want to butcher it. Yep, Romans 8:16. The spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. Because your spirit is going to bear witness with the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, because you were part of those ones that were first created with Yahushai. Your spirit is going to resonate with these words. It's going to just hit you like, that's real, that's true, when nobody else can get it. It's really amazing. It's like, how do you not see that? It's because the Lord has closed their eyes, man. Matter of fact, I mentioned this scripture. Trying to think, I was worded. Because the disciples is asking them, hey, why are you speaking to them in parables? No, that's not what. Let me see. That's not the one. Let me put this in like this. Slovakia. Yeah, Matthew. Oh, it was in the same chapter, Matthew 13 and 10. Matthew 13 and 10, it says, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? And he answered and said unto them, this is Yahushua, which the world only calls Jesus, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. That's a clear cut to the Lord is not dealing with everybody right there in itself. In the NLT, it says, New Living Translation, verse 10, Matthew 13 and 10, his disciples came and asked him, why do you use parables when you talk to the people? And he replied, you are permitted to understand the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but others are not. And these were Israelites that he was speaking to. The only ones that was going to pick up on this was the ones that the Lord clicked on. When the Lord stepped to, certain brothers and was like, hey, leave, your nets, leave the fishing, you know what I'm saying? Hey, come with me. They just dropped their occupation and followed the Lord. They didn't question it. It clicked for them. The disciples, it clicked for them. So, I just wanted to just touch on this for a hot sec. I thought it was a pretty straightforward way to illustrate that it's not a skin color thing. It's a DNA thing. If you come from Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, you are an Edomite, and you're going into slavery. If you come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you are an Israelite. And if you are of the elect of Israel, you're gonna make it out of here on that first turn, man. You're not gonna be a part of the second death, so to speak. So it is what it is with that. So I pray that this lesson was edifying with that. Kwam Yashala.